What is up, everybody? I'm going to wait for some people to come on, and then we're going to get to talking about a really awesome topic to me. And I hope you guys will feel the same way. Hopefully you guys come on, because I had to change the time tonight because we were doing some podcasts and different things. Jordan, thank you for watching. Benji, thank you for coming on. All right, we got some people coming on. How are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments. How's today going for you? I had an awesome day. Darren, how you doing, man? How are you doing? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna just get one sip of water, it's like an energy drink. But all right. What's up, everybody? Tell me how you're doing in the comments. You know, I want to know how you guys' day has been. But we're going to talk about something tonight that is basically one of the main things. If you are aware of this and you have this knowledge, you will then be able to retain clients and be able to have clients more excited to see out their plans of cares. Okay? What's up, Darren? Good to see you. Benji, what's going on? Okay, so we're going to talk about that one thing. Just one simple thing, one simple piece of knowledge that if you have this, you'll be able to have patients actually want to stick with you longer. You'll be able to retain patients, and you'll be able to have them stay more enthusiastic throughout their plan of care. Give me a hands up emoji if you actually want to know what that is. Give me a hands up. Colby, Dan, thank you for watching. People are rolling in now. All right. So that number one thing, I'm just going to get right into it, and then we're going to chat about what this means. Because when I say it, you're going to be like, what does that mean? The number one thing that you need to know and have the knowledge of in order to retain more clients and have more clients go through their plan of care is this one thing. It's the fact of knowing, and I want you guys to write this down, knowing that enthusiasm has a half-life. I'm going to say that again. Enthusiasm has a half-life. And so what does that mean? Do you guys know what a half-life means? It basically means that it has a certain amount that it lasts for. We'll just put it that way. We'll put it in very simple terms. Enthusiasm has a half-life. Katie, what's up? Thanks for watching. Enthusiasm has a half-life. So what does that mean? That means that when we get a patient on with us, when we do an initial evaluation with a patient, they're probably most likely going to be at their utmost level of excitement to work with us, their utmost level of enthusiasm to work with us. But if you can actually realize and know that enthusiasm is going to go down over time, if you can actually be aware of that, you can actually help to control that. If you can actually be aware of that, you can actually help to control that. But I think too many physical therapists that I talk to, and even myself when I was first starting my practice, is I would start to look at that and I would see enthusiasm starting to wane with a patient, and I would start to think that something was wrong with me. I would start to think that something was wrong with what I was doing with that patient. I would start to second guess what I was doing with that patient in my plan of care with that patient. And so in a lot of cases, I would change it up, or I would do something like that. I would throw more exercises at them, or I would do something different because I thought that they weren't happy with what I was doing. So for those of you just joining, Kelly, Katie, what I'm talking about is that enthusiasm has a half-life. Enthusiasm wanes over time, and if we can acknowledge that when we first get a patient into our practice, if we can be aware of that, then that actually puts us into a more powerful situation to know, okay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line, my patient's going to reach a point where they're not going to be as enthusiastic as they were when they first started with me. Excuse me. And it is not because anything that I've done wrong. You cannot think about that as a physical therapist. You've got to be fully confident in your plan of care and what you're doing going forward. But usually, in most cases, it's the fact that enthusiasm has a half-life. A patient, no matter what, no matter how much enthusiasm that they have, their enthusiasm is going to wane over time. So for those of you that are asking, well, okay, how do we fix that? That's great if we know that, Josh, but how do we fix that? The way that we fix that is something that I teach in my initial evaluations, is that in your initial evaluation, you're always constantly looking for that deep emotional reason for why that patient is working with you. The deep emotional reason for why that patient is working with you is how we fix that. So the best way that I can give you guys an example is I'm going to share a story with you and give you a complete example. I have a brand new patient in my practice named Renee. She's had back pain for over 2 years. It's crippling to her. It's just pain. It's not full dysfunction. It's just pain. She can still walk and she can still do things, but the pain is there. And she told me, because I've learned to really dive deep on initial evaluations and ask a lot of questions, I don't allow a patient to just tell me they want to be out of pain. I don't allow that. I want them to go much, much deeper than that. I'll ask them why. Okay, why? Why do you want to be out of pain? Well, because I want to be able to do some activities that I haven't been able to do for the last 2 years. Okay, what are those? Okay, I want to be able to hike. Why do you want to be able to hike? So asking those why questions until we get down to the true reason. I talk about this in my new book, The Concierge PT Success Formula, as well. But I asked these why questions and we got down to the fact that, and she started crying, which usually happens when you actually touch somebody emotionally. She started crying as she told me, because I am not able to do the things that I'd like to be able to do with my kids anymore. Her kids don't live in Colorado, but a few of them live in Alaska. And she told me, like, look, I'm going to go visit them soon, and I can't do hikes with them. Like, I can't go explore areas with them, and that's the kind of stuff that they want to do. But I'm the one that's held back, and I'm the one who has to stay at the house. She literally just told me this in an evaluation 4 weeks ago. She said, I'm the one that has to stay back at the house. And you have no idea how hurtful that is to me. You have absolutely no idea how hurtful it is to me that being an active woman, I'm not able to do those things with my family. Bingo. That's the emotional reason. So guess what? Today was my 4th visit with Renee. Today. And that's why I wanted to talk about this. Today was my 4th visit with Renee. And guess what? She was already burnt out on what we were doing. Like, I could see it in her eyes when I walked in the door. Like, things weren't working as fast as she wanted them to. I've been telling her that she needs to stick with the program and it will work, but things are just not happening as quick as they need to for her, right? Because we can all align with that, right? Give me a hands up emoji or give me an amen if you've got patients that are always telling you that things are not happening quick enough for them, right? We all get that. But because it was not happening quick enough, her enthusiasm was waning. So again, her enthusiasm has a half-life. And I knew this. I was armed with the knowledge that I knew this was coming, because I know it's coming with all my patients. And so we had this conversation that she wasn't exactly happy with where she was just in 4 weeks. Which really, that's not that much time. And so I'm confident in where we're going. And so I had to have the conversation with her and bring up again with her that, look, Renee, do you remember the reason why we're doing what we're doing? I asked her that question again today during our visit. And she said, yeah, I don't want to be in pain any longer. And I was like, no, that's not the reason. Like, what is the reason that we're doing this? Do you remember when back to 4 weeks ago when I did the initial evaluation with you, what was the reason why we're doing this? What is the reason that got you so emotional and you started crying? What was that reason, Renee? And she said, it's because I don't want to feel like I'm left behind when I'm with my family. I want to be able to experience those experiences with them and feel like I'm not being left behind. I was like, yeah, that's why we're doing what we're doing. So can you stick with this with me? Can you stick with this with me to get that result? And she was like, yeah, I can. I know I've got to be able to stick with it. And I started to turn things around. And I started to talk with her more and more about it. I was like, what is that going to be like? What if we're 3 months down the line And you're now able to start doing some of those things with your kids again. Like, is all this going to be worth it to you to stick with the program? Is all this going to be worth it to you? And she was like, yeah, that's going to be great. And she's going to visit her kids in Alaska very, very soon, in 2 weeks. And I was like, so what would it be like that next time you go to visit them, next trip, you're able to do all of those activities with them? And so I built her enthusiasm back up. By the time I left that visit, she was excited about rehab again. But when I came into that visit, she was not excited about rehab. But I was armed with the knowledge that enthusiasm has a half-life. Enthusiasm has a half-life, and every single one of our patients are going to reach a point that they're just not so enthused at what we're doing, no matter how great of a therapist we are. In most cases, not all the time. Sometimes we have those rare cases where we fix somebody in 1 or 2 visits. Those are great. But with somebody that's been dealing with pain for 2 years, you can't tell me she's going to be fixed in 4 weeks. Or I'm just going to be honest, this is no BS Wednesday. You're delusional. It takes longer for our processes in our body to actually, it takes longer for muscle to grow. It takes longer for things to actually happen with our body than just 4 weeks for something that's chronically been going on for 2 years. And so I knew that her enthusiasm would have a half-life. So I spent lots of this visit today building her enthusiasm back up by reminding her of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. And you have to be willing to ask uncomfortable things. You have to be willing to confront your patients. I could have easily just sat there and said, yeah, I know, Renee, we're going to get there. But no, I turned it back on her and said, why are we doing this, Renee? Why the heck are we doing this? Tell me why. Tell me why out of your mouth. I don't want to tell you why we're doing this. You tell me why we're doing this. Why are we doing this? What is the reason? And it wasn't until she was starting to explain more of that to me and I reminded her of those things that she was like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm excited to do this. You're right. Let's do this. So I built up her enthusiasm. That is what we have to be able to do with our patients, or else we are always going to be in a cycle of evaluate, a few treatments, better or worse, drop off. Evaluate, better or worse, drop off. Evaluate, better or worse, drop off. I see it way too often. It doesn't matter how great of a therapist you are, it happens to every single one of us. And so if you are not armed with the fact that every single person has a half-life on their enthusiasm, you're going to have a very difficult time continuing to keep patients enthused with what they're doing. I've been seeing some clients of mine for 3 years now. So that means, yes, over the course of 3 years, I've had to continually, time and time again, build up their enthusiasm over and over and over again about what we're doing and remind them of their progress so that they can continue to stay enthusiastic about what we're doing. And I'm going to call some people out. I get it. It's late. Some people are dropping off, whatever. But if you're dropping off because you think this may be a boring topic, you are missing out on a very, very, very big picture, and I can promise you that. Enthusiasm has a half-life, and if you can grasp that knowledge and use that to your effectiveness to build up your patients' enthusiasms when you see that it's waning, you're going to be able to see patients on a more regular basis, and you're going to help see patients through their plan of care more often. That's it. You guys have any questions for me? I wanted to keep this to a simple topic tonight because I thought this was such an important topic to talk about. So I know that was shorter than a lot of No BS Wednesdays, but I wanted to just talk about this specific topic tonight because it's so important to me and how I practice, and so I wanted to share that with you guys. Any questions for me, the three of you that are on? Any questions at all? Amy, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on. Any questions about building up our patients' enthusiasm? I like that. Never thought about it like that. Awesome. Darren, start to put it into use and see what it can do in your practice. As soon as you get that touch of feeling like that patient's enthusiasm is waning on what we're doing, just build it back up. Build it back up by explaining to them why we're doing it, explaining to them the progress that they've made already, and explaining to them the big picture of what we're trying to do. And do that over and over and over again, every visit if you feel like it's necessary. But there's a half-life for each patient, and generally it takes time, and that enthusiasm goes down, then we build it back up, and then that enthusiasm goes down a little bit, and then goes back up. Obviously, the goal is over time that enthusiasm is staying high because they've worked with you for so long that you don't need to continually build it up to full steam again, right? But seriously, I think if we can be armed with that knowledge, you can be a much more powerful and effective physical therapist. For both PT and wellness clients, Amy asks, for both. So it doesn't matter if it's clients that you're basically like training, or if it's physical therapy clients. It doesn't matter. Amy, I'll ask you, since you're the one that asked the question. When you start a new workout program, how long does it take for you to become less enthused about it? For a lot of people, it's a month. For a lot of people, it's less than that. I know for me, it's usually probably about a month. I'll stay really, really on that fitness program for about a month, and then my enthusiasm starts tanking. Or I start trying to find something else to do. Darren says, I can see even doing that in the follow-up text you send them for encouragement. Exactly. So David Bailiff and I just talked about doing some things like that in our practices, doing follow-up texts, and so you're exactly right, Darren. Have you ever had a patient not respond to that? I've had some cases, but I think I think a lot of us are skilled at motivating our patients, right? And sometimes you're not fully able to do it in one visit, but I think you're able to do it over the course of visits, Katie, to make sure that their enthusiasm stays high of what we're doing. Because they have to stay excited and enthused in what they're doing, or else they're not going to stay engaged in what they're doing. That's just human nature. And so sometimes it may, but I've never really had a patient that hasn't fully responded to those questions. But I'll tell you this, Katie, this brings up another thing, is I've gotten to the point that I know that it's so important in my patient's road that I'm pretty pushy with questions. And I realize I'm a business coach now. One of my jobs is asking questions and prying things out of people that they don't want to tell me. And so that aspect has helped me to pry those answers out of people. But I think just keeping that in mind, we can question our patients and turn around on them and say, look, hey, I can tell you're not too enthusiastic about therapy today. What's going on? Talk to me about that. Like, I need you to be excited about what we're doing. And I realize not every single day you're going to come walking in saying, oh, I'm so excited to see Josh. But like, I at least want you to be enthusiastic about what we're doing and about the progress that you're making and about what we are potentially trying to do for you, right? So I hope that answers your question, Katie. All right. Any other questions? Hey, Belisa, what's going on? Belisa, Amy, everybody, thank you for watching. I know this is a shorter No BS Wednesday, but again, think about this concept. Enthusiasm has a half-life. What if you could start applying that to your practice in different ways? Just like Darren said, sending a text of encouragement when you know that their enthusiasm is waning. Simple stuff, but effective things. And so if you can be armed with that knowledge, you can do a lot of different things in your patient's life. And I've seen a lot of transformations come from patients that just hated physical therapy. And now they love it. So what if we could, just by simply being armed with that, get a patient that into our practice that hates physical therapy, has had terrible experiences in the past, has no expectations for what's going to happen. What if we can get a patient like that to now actually love physical therapy and want to tell everybody about my practice? That's why this is so important, is because if you can keep a patient enthusiastic, they will become a walking, talking billboard for your practice. Well, that's actually number two. Number one is they're going to have better results. If they're enthusiastic about what they're doing, they're excited about what they're doing, they're going to stay more in tune with their plan of care, and they're going to have better results. And then number two, they will become a walking, talking billboard for you. That's it. If nobody has any other questions, you guys have an awesome night. I've got another amazing topic planned for No BS Wednesday next Wednesday. It will be the normal time. I'm sorry for having to do this and push it back. I just had a lot of coaching calls today and a podcast with David Bailiff that we were doing, and just some other things that ran into this. So That's right. Hudson needs his daddy to watch Red Raiders baseball with him. That's right. So you guys have a great night. I'll chat with you all later.